now we've got some amazing espresso from the SLAYER steam single. You might want to add some milk to this to create your favorite drinks. And with the steam single, the steam actuator has two different ways of working, either up, which is really useful for purging your steam wand, or down, where it'll stay on and you can steam your milk. So when steaming milk, you want to position your steam wand down kind of towards your feet, to one side of the jug, so not slap bang in the middle, just off to one side. Steam at full power, and you want to get the milk kind of turning on itself whilst introducing texture towards the start of the process. So towards the beginning, have your steam wand submerged, just break the surface until you get that nice chirping sound, and then bring the jug just slightly back up so it's nice and quiet, swelling on itself for the rest of the process until it's really nicely textured and at the temperature that you're looking for. Steaming milk and pouring great latte art takes time, it takes practice, so keep going, keep experimenting, and keep progressing. When it comes to choosing a milk or an alternative milk to pair with coffee, you've got a lot of options here, a lot of personal preference. Obviously your dietary requirements will be a big factor here, but then when it comes to either dairy or alternative, there's a few considerations. So if you're going with dairy, if you go with a higher fat content, something like a whole milk, this will be more kind of luxurious, creamy and coating. It might be a little bit more dessert-like, which can be really delicious, but it will mute the acidity in the coffee a little bit. It might lower the intensity of coffee when compared to something like a skimmed milk, which has a lower fat content. So skimmed milk tends to have a lighter texture. It allows the coffee to come through a little bit more clearly because there's less fat in there to kind of coat the tongue. But whichever you go for, you're gonna get great results. Personally, I like whole milk, but the decision is yours. You might prefer to go with an alternative milk, and within alternative milks, there are so many different bases, different flavors, but personally speaking, I like to go for something quite neutral, like an oat milk. However, you can experiment with more flavored milks if you think they complement your coffee, things like coconut, things like almond, but the more neutral ones really allow the coffee to kind of shine through, and to me, that's what I'm looking for. But experimentation, once again, is really important. So find what works for you, and also the coffee that you're pairing it with. Depending on the drink or the drinks that you're making, you'll need to choose an appropriately sized pitcher. And not only is this going to reduce waste, it's also going to help you get the right consistency of the drinks. And broadly speaking, I don't recommend filling the jugs any more than halfway up to get the best texture in there. Make sure your jug's really nice and clean before you add milk. Make sure you purge your steam wand before use and give it a good clean and a purge after, not only for hygiene's sake, but also for the longevity of the machine. If you need to steam milk for 2 drinks rather than 1, you can actually do this in a bigger jug, steam it as you normally would, pour most of it across into the smaller jug and then a little bit back. Pour from the little jug, as you would normally, pour the rest of the liquid from the big into the small, pour the second drink, and you can get really even levels of foam on both drinks. If you find the power of your steam wand is too much or not quite enough, you can actually change the steam tips on the steam wand so you can increase or decrease the flow of steam. And this is really useful because it gives you either more time or less time if you're in a busy environment or a quiet environment. I find the smaller steam tips give you a little bit more control and a little bit more time to really texture your milk. But if you're in a busy cafe, you might want to go for the bigger steam tips, which just steam the milk a little bit more quickly. Speak to your SLAYER distributor if you want to pick up some different size steam tips. Another way to do this is to increase and decrease the pressure of the steam wand in the barista dashboard. So either way, you're going to get great milk. We've also got some scary good espresso from the steam single. You can start mixing these together to create your favorite drinks.